Welcome to Shit Chat with Em and Matt.
Where we talk bodybuilding, business, and babies.
Woohoo! Episode 10, we made the double digits.
We did, we got here. We apologise, we haven't been here for a couple of weeks. Maybe
Has it been 2 weeks? Look, we had Jordan away last week and
then we were sick before that.
I was sick, so I was...
These are not excuses, these are valid reasons. As
yeah.
We
are committed.
So today we have a few questions in from
yeah, look, we've been
community.
enjoying this. Emily's been putting it up to the community, asking for questions. She's been doing the anonymous ones, so no one has to put their name to it, but that seems to do better when we want people to ask questions, and that sort of feeds the podcast and gives us some direction.
So something that we've been seeing lately, it is prep season, if people don't know that already, like people are competing, It is season C.
End of year, season C, they call it here in Australia. You've got Olympia, amateur Olympia coming up overseas, literally, I think 3 weeks out. So it's all happening.
So we're going to talk on, just at the start, around common mistakes females in particular are making around anabolics, our own experiences with shitty preps, and we have a few questions. They are around menopause, how to get energy back, how IFBB works in terms of pro cards as opposed to other federations, and why so many bodybuilders are getting caught with steroids lately. Why do they risk it? And we'll just go into a little bit with that one.
Yeah, a lot of bodybuilding stuff today, not a lot of business and babies. What about a quick update with you? Where are you currently at with your physique goals?
Physique goals? Yeah. So I am, I think, 5 weeks away from ending my first build for this season.
5 weeks, and how does that make you feel?
Good. I don't know.
I think it's good because
it's actually been
what you do is people, and I say this because I live with Emily and hear it all the time, is you get complacent.
Yeah.
In a prep you won't because you've got to get, well, you shouldn't, and we'll talk about that later. But in a prep you won't because you're getting on stage there as an end goal, and you know, if I make mistakes and I skip or
shit.
Take shortcuts, you know, you're going to look like shit, and it's going to be really obvious. In the off season, it's not so obvious. You're not getting compared to other people. So what happens over, most of the time, 16 to 20 week period, you lose sight of that end goal, and you don't focus on the process as much. And you get complacent, you miss meals, you don't train as hard, you slack off in the training, and that's where it really costs you. So now,
I don't think as a trainer, I can't afford to slack off in training because I have Justin train me twice a week.
Yeah,
so
it's different for you though.
Different for me, but for a lot of people it can happen, especially if they're not numbers driven in
terms of... I know this because I'm talking from experience.
Yeah.
I've made these mistakes. So.
But I know that from a food perspective, I definitely feel that, especially with every build that I do, I get to a point probably like 14 weeks in, probably like 10 weeks in, that I start going, well, I don't need to track today. Or I'll have a meal out and then I won't track the rest of the day. Or I'll half track the day and then I won't track the night time.
Why is that? Just because you need to get calories in?
Yeah, because I'm not looking at trying to meet low calories, so I have heaps of calories, and therefore I think that I have this flexibility, right? But then this last 2 weeks, I've just pulled it back in, and things that I can see dramatically increase is my body composition improves.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Let's rewind it back. What happens when you do that? What's the result of that?
My body composition gets worse.
Inflammation, it looks worse. Digestion can turn to shit pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you inflame.
Performance in the gym isn't consistent. So the consistency of things really goes out the window. So I find that I look better on higher calories when I'm more consistent with the food types day after day. And that's something that I have to learn for myself every time I do this. No matter how long I've been doing this whole building thing, I still get to a point where I'm like, this sucks, this is hard, and I'm going to stop, doing all the things 100%. But
life also gets in the way.
Yeah.
You know?
We were sick at that point in time
Kids
as well.
sick and babies sick, getting up in the middle of the night all the time, so sleep's affected, busy with work, launching our own stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can find excuses really quick as to why you missed that meal, or why you're not prepared, why you can go to the shop and meal prep, why you might skip that session, like, I've really got to get this work done today and get on top of it. So,
but the build... has been really good. So I'm starting to see some really good changes in terms of more tissue, hopefully.
Yeah.
Obviously just need to push this next build a lot harder. I thought that I was only going to have to do one, but...
Is he giving you another one?
I think he's going to give me a shorter one.
Oh, so this is the thing. You've got 5 weeks now that you have left, so you can see the end date, the finish line, and you're like, I can't, literally 5 weeks you've got to lock in. Because from now on, you can really maximise this next 5 weeks, or you can just waste it and be like, I'm so full, I can't get the food in, skimp on training, train like a pussy bitch, whatever you call it, which she doesn't do. Justin won't allow it, but that's always a good thing to remind yourself. Crossing off the months, going, that's one more month. Like, if you can keep that short, like keep it the goal short term, being like, I've got to get through this next month. I need to maximize my efforts in this next month, as opposed to going, oh man, I've got the next 3 months of building. Like, it's going to change the way you think.
It's good to have shorter time frames. Like for like enhanced athletes, I'm going to say that the time frames can be shorter in terms of building, because you can get a lot more out of that time frame. For a natural athlete, you probably have to extend that build probably 20, 24 plus weeks. Yeah. Or as long as that person can really handle it.
That's a genetic freak.
Yeah. But how are you going?
And me,
quick update.
I was sick obviously the other week, and it really knocked me around. I obviously get sick, we all get sick, but I was bedridden for like 2 days, and Emily's like, I've never seen you lay. Like, when I get sick, I might have lay down in the afternoon, but I'll get my work done always. I put my phone away. I didn't get out of, I literally went from the bed to the couch, and I was in so much pain. I was eating Panadol and Nurofen like it was candy, because I just wanted some relief from a migraine. Pressure in my head, and body aches, a fever. It was 2 days like that, and I was just so uncomfortable. End up having influenza A, so I thought it was a man flu, and I was like, this thing's fucking real. It's not, it knocks us around. But I had quite a few of my male mates all experienced the same thing, and it knocked all of us. So last week was frustrating because I lost so much weight, because obviously my appetite wasn't there, I wasn't eating. And I wanted to get back into it last week, but I knew I had to ease into it. So I essentially deloaded last week after being sick, which is really important. And then this week I'm back into it, and I'm feeling much better. So it's now I just want to start building that momentum like Emily to finish off my build phase. So I've probably got about the same 5 to 6 weeks left, and after the last, let's call it 3 weeks, I really want to up the ante. But I think after today's check-in video, I'm pretty hard on myself all the time, and I think that's probably the best and biggest I've ever looked. So my weight's not there, but in terms of my condition with my muscle, 121 kilos, that's probably the best 121 kilos.
I think one thing that I noticed for you this build phase is that you've stayed lean, but you've got bigger. So like your weight probably hasn't moved too much, but your composition has changed. Yeah. So like I feel like you look the biggest now, and you look the leanest that you ever have. Yeah. So really you shouldn't have a lot to come off for comp.
It always is, but yeah, I hope you're right. But no. Yeah. But yes, this build, that's the thing that's been different, is that we haven't pushed food, which has been just fucking awesome for me, if I must say.
Yeah.
We've relied more on pushing anabolics, which I haven't done in the past, and really milking as much as we can out of the training and rest and recovery. So.
Do you feel different with the higher drug protocols?
At first I did. I was struggling. I'm a pretty anxious person as it is, and we work on trying to manage that. I guess, what would you call it? I am a high achiever, but also very busy mind.
Yeah.
So then what you do see with when you increase anabolics, it depends on the individual and how they tolerate it, but anxiety can, be heightened a lot. So that's one thing I have noticed. I'm like, why do I feel so anxious? Like, okay, breathe. So then we've been looking at caffeine intake and stuff. So I'm like, normally, 1 coffee a day wouldn't hurt most individuals, but when I'm already like amped up and anxious, I'm just like, okay, you need to take a step back here and control that, because you want the body to be as much as possible in a relaxed state. But see, systemic stress builds up with higher anabolic loads. So, but other than that, I feel good. Blood work's always, like I must say, the last 3 years working with Dean, my blood work's been phenomenal. So considering obviously pushing anabolics, and that's what we're always looking at. So I am happy with that. The approach really does work with what we've been doing.
Very good. All right, on to the next. For men, to the next.
Where do you want to start? Girls, anabolics, mistakes.
We'll start on the anabolic train.
I think a lot of people love this. Here. So we have been getting lots of feedback about the anabolic side of it. So being transparent and being in a place to help try and give education, we will do.
So one thing, a common mistake females are making lately, in particular females, but
not lately, all the time.
Yeah, actually, this has been happening for a while. But we're hearing more of it, and I think we're hearing more of it because people are starting to speak up and be a little bit more cluey when it comes to anabolics, or maybe they're feeling more confident to talk to people about it. So then they're going, "Hey, my coach is doing this. Is this right?" Which it's good to question the approach if you don't know what you're doing, and it's good to know exactly what you're doing, especially when it comes to anabolics. I'm going to first say that a lot of females in particular start down this route without knowing what it's actually doing to their body. And I think that's a really important thing to know, like why we do what we do and what compound they're using and what that does for their body.
Well, in general, yes. Athlete's responsibility as a female and a male is to understand the consequences of what you're about to do.
Yeah.
And it's not the short-term consequences, it's potentially, if you're bodybuilding for the next 5 years, what that's going to look like. And I will say this, guys, it's always really dangerous for us long-term, but girls, it's not so dangerous on the health side of things, but the virilization is life-changing. So that's where the damage is, and guys, we don't have to worry too much about that at all.
Because you already have a dick.
Yeah,
and a
I already have a dick and deep voice and losing hair.
So virilization, let's talk on that first and what that looks like or sounds like, because people will probably be like, what does that mean?
Yeah, so negative side effects for the androgen sensitive, which is the females, is when obviously deepening of the voice, structure of the jaw changing, hair growth, so whether it be all over the body, which most of the time, but for girls also facial hair, loss of hair, thinning of hair, oil, like you'd say, oily skin and stuff. Acne is definitely, one, that's not part of virilization, but acne is another negative side effect both female and male definitely can experience. That's obviously clitoral. I didn't say that.
Yes, at all.
Yeah, another one. So deepening the voice, the big ones, deepening the voice, hair growth, and clitoral enlargement being on using androgens. So,
and these are things that are irreversible. And I think when starting the anabolic route, it is important to understand that these will possibly be side effects, but definitely be side effects, especially if you're looking at a long career. And it isn't something that happens to some people. It will happen to all females that are at some point.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be individual specific.
Oh my God, that was the person behind me, but it was a
individual specific in terms of how you tolerate the drugs and how sensitive you are to virilization. But at long term, over the years, if you are doing it 2, 4, 6 years.
And some people will be more sensitive than others. I've heard stories of people that they'll do one cycle and their voice will be substantially lower.
And you're not going to know that. This is all consequences that you have to be aware of and accept. And like, I want to bodybuild, and you know what? I'm aware of this, this, and this happening, and be mature enough to be like, is that going to affect me? And be like, no, I want to bodybuild. This is part of bodybuilding, and this is for guys as well. And then girls, the other side of it is obviously fertility, which is a real big one.
Yeah, and fertility is more so, I'm not the guru in this area, but fertility is more so impacted because of the loss of cycle and then the duration of that over time, correct?
Shut down,
and this leads on to the first question. A lot of women in particular will opt for like an anabolic only cycle. So they won't be doing any HRT, which is essentially supplementary testosterone, progesterone, or a combination of both. They will just go straight for Anavar, Mastron, Primo, or a combination of both.
Most of the time it's Anavar. And a lot of the time, I'll say this as well, it's boyfriends, bodybuilding guys in the gym that love bodybuilding, probably not competitive bodybuilders. And I hear this so often, so I want to throw it out here for people listening, is that if your boyfriend, if you're in your early 20s, mid-20s girls, and your boyfriend's a bodybuilder, and I've been asked literally this, gone, how much Anavar should my girlfriend take? And I'm just like, why, hang on, roll back. Why's your girlfriend taking Anavar? Oh, just want to lose some weight, help her lose some weight. And I'm like, whoa, and that blows my mind to hear it so often. Or I have a female ask me that. And it's like, Anavar you're not taking Anavar as a lipolytic. Yeah. It's an anabolic that you're going to take in a contest prep situation to help maintain performance or to build muscle. It's not the ideal one, but it is an option. So then, if I'm getting asked that, sure as shit that's happening out there. Guys going, some clenbuterol, that's what the bodybuilders, my mates at the gym say, clenbuterol and Anavar into them, and then they don't know anything about, duration of use or dosage.
And I'll say
they're taking 20, these girls aren't even bodybuilders, they're just trying to lose some weight, not understanding.
Or they're just trying to build some muscle. And Anavar, as I can understand what it is, it's not as anabolic as things like Mastron and Primo. It's more of you get the fuller look. Is that correct?
No. This is what people get wrong as well. All anabolic compounds accrue muscle tissue pretty much at the same rate. Yeah. So, there's no trenbolones more stronger than in terms of muscle accrual building tissue than any other. From studies, we can see that they're all pretty much similar. Yeah. So then it's looking at compounds going, all right, what's going to be my best bang for buck in terms of like minimizing side effects and risk to get the desired result. Yeah. So that's where Anavar's The reason we don't like Anavar as much is because of its effect on the liver, because it's oral, you know, the lipid skewing in terms of cholesterol and stuff like that. Trying to break it up so you can't titrate it as well as you could with an injectable.
Because usually it comes as what, a 10 milligram?
10 milligram tablet. Sometimes overseas they can get 2.5s and American stuff and 5 milligrams, but a lot of the days, what I'm hearing now, is that the underground stuff that people have access to is in capsules, so not even in tablets. So 10 meg capsules. You imagine trying to get your little scales out to break that up, which is going to be a nightmare. So
and
10
usually
milligrams.
it's Devo.
Yeah, and then it can be easily fake. So it depends what this is the thing. If it's underground, it's not always legit. You don't know what you're getting. And if it's debol, that is, you know, super androgenic, and when in terms of you don't want to be using that as a female, you know.
And I can say from my own experience that this was actually the exact situation that I was in terms of my ex-partner going, this is what all the girls are using to put on size. Here, have this tablet and take it every day. But I wasn't taking it every day. I was taking it once every time that I remembered to take it, and then I was taking it for 6 months as a duration.
And that's what happens. Girls will be like, oh, I'm not seeing the results, impatient. 4 weeks, probably not trained hard enough, nutrition's not supporting it, so what do they do?
So they keep taking it.
Take 20 meg.
Yeah.
Oh, my boyfriend comes and goes, yeah, so-and-so just take 20 meg. That's safe. Guys take 50 to 60, so just half it.
And to put it into perspective, we look at levels when we look at anabolic load and what level someone is on, right? And so what we learned was that, like, what some of the elite pro level WPD girls, whatever, they're like on 100 plus.
No, 200 milligrams total load a week plus, you know. These are the girls, are big girls.
Yeah.
You know, and
but then there's like the level 1 and level 2 and level, like, they're probably like smaller doses in terms of across the week. But what I'm trying to say is there are amateur girls or girls that don't even compete taking 20 milligram of Anavar 7 days a week with a total load of 140 milligrams, which is on the level of like a figure
or a wellness girl total anabolic load, which is quite high.
And for virilization, that could be super detrimental.
Yeah, like, depending on the individual and how sensitive they are, but you know, at that dosage, and say it's 12 weeks, 10 weeks, like you definitely open yourself up for some virilization for sure. So starting it off anyway.
And the reason, the question was like, why do we not do just Anavar cycles? Why is it not just as easy as going, I'm going to take 10 milligram of Anavar 7 days a week for 8 weeks?
It's education. That's why. People go, oh, I'm going to build muscle. I've got an anabolic in play. It's going to help support my nutrition, my training. Yeah. Awesome. You are right. But then what happens as a female is as soon as you introduce an anabolic, that's going to shut your natural natural hormones down, the production of hormones. It sees that coming in particular testosterone. So then during that 8-week, 10-week period that you're exposed to, that's fine because you've got anabolics in play doing the job to build muscle tissue. Yeah. But then as soon as you stop that, depending on the individual again, you're shut down. Your natural test levels are down, progesterone's in the drain, E2 is going to be down as well. You've crashed. So then you've got a period of like anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, 2 to 3 months, that you've got a suboptimal hormone. So then you've just spent 10, 12 weeks busting your ass and you come off, and then you're trying to re-establish your natural production of hormones, and you haven't got the hormone profile there or baseline hormones to maintain what you've just put on. So then you're in the gym or you're skipping sessions because you're emotional wreck, because your hormones are fucking in the drain. And you don't want to go to the gym. And so this is what happens all the time. Then girls aren't aware that we need to keep that from a HRT standpoint, testosterone, in play. So when you come off, the baseline's still there, and progesterone, so it's usually the combination of two, progesterone and testosterone. Then if we've got test there, we're going to have E2 because of aromatization. It's going to bring it all back up to an optimal level. So you've just spent 10 weeks, whether it's Primobolan, the Mastron that you use, or it could be Anavar, we don't want to, but it could be Anavar in a build, and then you've come off. Now you've got hormones at a level that you can maintain that and continue to keep building on that effort, as opposed to getting there and then being suboptimal for the next 2 to 3 months, 4 months, losing that tissue, losing the drive to want to train, losing the ability to recover, sleep being shit, being emotional wrecks.
And then they continue this cycle of on, off,
or they stay on because they realise they're going backwards. Oh fuck, I'll just keep a little bit of Anavar in, keep going, you know. Or I've got these goals, I'm really determined to achieve these goals. And then the other side of it, girls, so one is education, I don't know this. 2 is the coaches don't know this, aren't fucking doing it. And then it's like, coaches, I think, as well, at the moment in Australia, are scared to tell their female clients, like, HRT is going to be, if they're enhanced, obviously.
Yeah.
HRT is going to be is necessity for you, because then they're like, I don't really want to prescribe the low dose testosterone, and then getting your hands off on low dose testosterone is really hard underground as a female, because again, this is super sensitive. So we're looking at girls using anywhere from 4 milligrams of testosterone to up to 8, being the higher end.
When a male uses,
minimum 200 to could be 700, depending on how silly
so
that.
So if a girl got their hands on like a normal test file,
yeah,
it would be
so it's usually
difficult.
If it's coming from a boyfriend, here in Australia, it's going to be test E with, if it's an E or a SIP, it's going to be 200 milligrams per mil. So it's really hard to break that down to obviously get an accurate dose of 4 to 6 milligrams per week. So that's where doctors come into play, HRT clinics. And you have to, so accessibility is difficult, but if you are a female listening to this, that's what you need to do. Yeah. Be working under a doctor, because you're getting prescribed not only the correct dosage of testosterone, which is usually here in Australia 50 milligrams per mil, which is still high, but you can at least accurately dose that. You'll get the progesterone as well, and obviously the doctor's monitoring your blood work. So.
And what we talked about was this sounds like a lot, right? In terms of if you want to be enhanced, you pretty much have to or should be on HRT all the time.
And injections. So
yeah, all the time. So that means 3 injections across the week 2 to 3 to keep blood levels stable, because you don't want to be doing 1 at the end of the week and then
ideally
then the next week essentially your blood levels will go up and then down again. So it's not stable. And then you're adding in, obviously, this anabolic, whether it be something like Masteron or Primo for a 8 to 10 week period of time, while staying on HRT the whole time. Yes, it sounds expensive. Yes, it sounds annoying. But if you want to be enhanced to do it properly, that's a level that it takes to do well at this, right? Or do it properly. And I guess we talked about, the easy route is for people to just go, I don't want to inject myself. I just want to take 1 tablet once a day for 8 weeks. But unfortunately, you're going to end up in this point post-comp where you have the post-comp blues, which is really just a crashing of your hormones.
Yeah. And then you're going to have it in the off-season. I'm sure you're going to be exposed to it at some point in the off-season, as well as in a contest prep situation. So it could be anywhere. You could be spending suboptimal levels of hormones and feeling like absolute ass, hating life for 6 months of a year.
But we see this a lot, and I see it especially with bikini girls. Their coaches are going, here, have a little bit of Anavar for the last bit of your prep, essentially to keep performance up, to make them, and they look good, they look hard, whatever, they're doing well in the gym. Post-comp, you don't see them for 6 months because their hormones are in the trash. They end up gaining 10, 15
massive
kilos
down post-show
pretty quickly. And then they pop up 6 months' time and they're back on cycle again. And you're like, what happened in that period of time? What happened was exactly what we talked about, that crashing of hormones, because their coaches aren't being able to look at what's going to be best for them long term, which will be the HRT. And I think if you're not willing to do the HRT, then don't be enhanced.
Yeah, I definitely think it's what you need to weigh up is the trade-off, the cost of not doing. So if I'm going to pursue this goal, I want to be optimal all year round. And I want to, potentially minimise risks of looking at what compounds I'm exposed to and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, it is a big trade-off. It's going to cost you money. Obviously, working with a doctor is not cheap, but, everything, what you're getting is legit. You've got a doctor, not only your coach and you looking over your blood work, but your doctor is monitoring all that. And then obviously doing it legally, which is what we recommend for everyone here. So you've got prescription PEDs.
Yeah, exactly. That leads on to the next question. Actually, no, let's just cap that up, because I think it's really important that we drive home this message. Being enhanced isn't as easy as just taking a tablet once a day for 8 to 10 weeks. Being enhanced means that you have the responsibility to do it properly and understand that it is a long-term commitment. And if you're not willing to make that commitment, then don't do the enhanced thing.
Yeah.
And coaches who are still prescribing anabolic only cycles, look into the research as to why HRT is important, because it is your responsibility to understand this. Because if you're prescribing your bikini athletes in particular anabolic only cycles, then don't complain about why they end up just pissing off post-comp or gaining a heap of weight or not wanting to be in gym, because that's your doing, essentially.
Yep.
All right, and that leads into the next question around, we had an NLG around why bodybuilders, So many bodybuilders getting caught with steroids lately. Why do they risk it? Can't they just go through doctors like yours? Surely there's no benefit to getting stuff from a friend or friend. Your advice.
Yeah, so good question. A few things to this is that it's a cost thing. So it comes down to costing. Working with a doctor or HRT clinic here in Australia is very expensive. So I'm going to be transparent in terms of cost. So what that may look like for when I work with my doctor. So 10 mil of testosterone enanthate or cypionate is from a doctor prescribed is going to cost you $300 for a consult with the doctor regularly for him to look over your blood work and do what he needs to do. Then for just that 10 mil test is going to cost you around $300, $280 to $300. It's pharma grade, it's prescribed to you, definitely worth it for me. It's an investment I always
But that's the cheapest. That's the cheapest.
So then the alternative, that's the cheapest one of all of them.
Yeah.
The alternative is if you go underground source, depending on who you have access to and if it's legit, it can be anywhere from $80 to $100.
Yeah. And you don't have to consult with the doctor.
You don't have to consult, pay another $300 to consult with the doctor, because let's be real, bodybuilding is super fucking expensive. You've got to pay, I assume most of everyone has a coach. If they're a good coach, they're not going to be cheap. And again, it's an investment. You want to invest your money in a good coach, so you know your health's in the right hands and you get the best results. And then the food side of it, like supplements, protein powders and stuff like that, not everyone's sponsored. So groceries alone cost a couple
But
$100.
I still think like, and again, like I've been the naive bodybuilder walking into this with not a lot of money, so I get it.
Yep.
But I think if you're going to commit to something like bodybuilding, it is worth doing it properly and understanding that there is a huge cost behind it. Yeah. And if you're not willing to pay the cost, then maybe it's not the sport for you.
Yeah, and it's like the bodybuilders getting caught. Like, unfortunately, I can't speak for everyone. Maybe they are being silly and they're selling it, and then you're asking for trouble. Of course, you're going to get in trouble. You can't do that. If they're bodybuilders and they're getting done with personal use and they've got minimal stuff on them, I feel sorry for them because the police could use their time fucking more efficiently. But I think from a bodybuilder's perspective, and I can speak firsthand here, they're seeing this as a petty little. Yes, it's illegal. But they're like, I'm doing this for a competition, for a goal. In other countries, it's not illegal. Here in Australia, it is. They don't see it as you taking meth and selling drugs and stuff, although it's a similar thing. So that's probably why then they get caught and they get in trouble. So working with the doctor is what we'd always recommend. Yeah. But not that, again, here in Australia, very different. They're not as accessible for everyone. It was difficult for us to find a doctor, and we're very lucky, and it cost us a lot of money to do it legally and do it right. Yeah. So that's why.
Yeah. Can you explain how IFBB works, how to get a pro card? So, IFBB works in the way that you have state shows, and then you have the national show, which you will get your if you win that, you get your pro card. But you have to do a state show to do the national show.
You have to qualify.
Everyone, though, qualifies if they compete, so everyone can go to nationals, essentially. So nationals is the best of all of Australia, essentially. Yeah.
And there's only two pro cards per year they give out in each division. So at the start of the year, Season A, and at the end of the year, they're calling it Season C this year. It used to be Season B. So not only do you have to win your division, your class, you have to win the overall as well. So if you're a classic physique, you've got to win your class, and then you've got to win the overall to get the pro card. It is so hard. Yeah. So you are the best in Australia at that time to receive that. Overseas, you can definitely go to shows overseas where they'll give out multiple pro cards. I'll give it first and second. Really? Yeah, American, that Amateur Olympia. You won't get that here in Australia. It's very fucking hard. Yeah. But it, for good reasons. I think a lot of people make a mistake, and people might not like this, but they don't get the pro card in Australia, and then what they do is like, oh, go on overseas, which is great for bodybuilding, but they go over there and they get their pro card, and if you didn't get it in Australia, there's a good reason. The person that beat you is better. You're not ready. So you get the pro card and you think, oh, I'm going to go compete in the pro circuit. Fuck no. You couldn't win in Australia. So you're going to go overseas, get a pro card. You're going to get smoked as a pro. So that is a sign to stay in Australia and be like, that guy was ready. He beat me. Wish him all the luck. But in most of the guys in Australia that win their pro cards, like me, have to spend another 1 to 2 years before they can go overseas to even be competitive. So that's the reality of it. So don't try and rush the process. If you get a pro card in Australia, you're up there, and you go, now what do I get the feedback from the judges? Go, now what I got to do to be competitive as a pro? Because
you want to be the best of a good bunch rather than the best of a shit bunch, right? And I think a lot of people do cherry pick shows to get pro cards. And I think it's just a way of making sure that you're coming last in that for your first pro show, which can hurt more, right? So like, be ready, take the time, be the best of Australia, and then go overseas and maybe have a chance of cracking top 10. You know,
top 10, top 5, be in a better position to be competitive, not just there to make up the numbers.
Exactly. And look, I think what really brought me to IFBB is like, they don't give out pro cards to anyone, and it's hard to get a pro card. I can't speak on other federations that give pro cards to, you know, the one person that was in that division, but
it's not even the one division though. Like wellness, it is. Like wellness, they don't have at the moment different classes within the wellness. It's just wellness. You are the best in Australia at wellness. You get a pro card. Like, but if you're in bikini, you've got to win. There's short, medium, and tall. I think. Yeah. Bodybuilding, there's difference. There's like lightweight, heavyweight. The tinies, the lightweight, heavyweight, super heavy. So then you're like, if you're super heavy, and you can easily get beaten by a guy that's a heavyweight that's under 100, or under light heavyweight, which is under 90s. A lot of guys coming through at the moment, phenomenal physiques there. So Kem George won it a year ago, and he was 80 kilos and beat everyone. So beat the super heavy, I think it was Michael Lucy at the time. I might be wrong, but he blew everyone away. So it's very difficult to get a pro card.
And that's what you want it to be, though. Like, you don't want it to be easy to get a pro card. It doesn't make sense. Like, if it's easy to get a pro card, then what the fuck are you doing, you know? Like, what are you doing this for? All right, so we had one question that we don't really know many of them, but I have one in mind. What FMG girls would you like to come across to try IFBB?
I got one straight away. Abby Slavin.
Oh yeah, I was going to say her too.
I see Abby all the time. We've known Abby for years. She's always been an athlete. She's a true athlete. Yeah. But I think over the last 2 years, she's really progressed to physique. She's just naturally got a very good physique.
She's got that wellness physique, the legs, the glutes.
Good. I know she dedicated waist, the time to make the switch. She could be very dangerous in IFBB.
One person that I would love to see come across also is Caitlin McGuinness. She has the shape. She's there, she's ready.
Works extremely hard, trains really hard.
Yeah, she trains like an absolute workhorse, so I would love to see her come across. I think the thing with FMG is that it has a place for people that don't have a place in IFBB. So I say that as in, like, they don't, IFBB doesn't have a fitness, fitness division. They don't have that kind of in-between bikini and wellness. So there are a lot of girls that suit more of that FMG fitness look, which is totally fine. So it's good for everyone to have a division. You know?
But there are good athletes in FMG.
You go.
Yeah, you go. Hit us, Jordan.
I'll cut this. Yep. But do you think perception of like doing different divisions would like mentally make you think like, so for example, if I wanted to compete, I'll do ICN because like I want to stay natural.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do FMG, I could probably maybe get away with being natural.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I wanted to do IFBB, no fucking chance.
Yeah.
Is that something?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think as a bikini competitor, as it depends again on the class, but bikini's the lower tier. Same with men's physique in IFBB. You're probably at an amateur level if you're genetically good, which is why we do bodybuilding. Like, I'm saying that because Tom McNamara, Australian pro, come across as a natty. He cleaned up all the ICN comps. He has a big name there. Come over last year and blew everyone away. And you have to understand, majority of people in IFBB are enhanced. You know, so but you do get the freaks like Tom that come through natty and beat people. Same with bikini.
I think honestly, like bikini athletes probably don't ever need to touch anabolics at a amateur level.
Oh, definitely not.
Even at a pro level, for most of them, if they have good muscle mass and they're able to get lean, then you don't need to. On a wellness level, I don't think that as an amateur you need to. I think there's some people that if they have genetically, they've worked hard to put the muscle on and they are able to get lean enough, which like I have a natty girl coming through with wellness, like that will do well. I don't think that it needs to. On a pro level though, it's different, especially in your wellness, your bodybuilding, like obviously bodybuilding, but like...
even figure, like you're not going to get in the pro stage of figure being not natural. Yeah. No chance, not these days.
And like you'll probably find a lot of the pro bikini girls, some of them are still natural. Like
look, it depends. So let's talk natural. Like I don't think the androgens need to be used, no. But in terms of contest prep at the pro level, are you using T3, T4 clenbuterol? More than likely, yes, L-carnitine, which is, they're not steroids, but they're lipolytics that you certainly use. So you can't claim natural if you're using them.
Yeah.
And it would make
But they're
sense
not
at a pro
anabolics.
level why you wouldn't use that if you needed to get a little bit leaner, or even to try and help maintain a bit of muscle tissue with clenbuterol.
Yeah.
So in an enhanced competition.
But I don't think it's like...
Necessity.
Yeah, I still think a lot of people can compete naturally.
But like back to Jordan's question, yes, I think that it makes sense for a lot of, unless you're like bikini, ICM people to pursue FMG, because yes, it is open federation, but you know that you can still naturally fit into that them classes pretty well and do pretty well. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be many classic guys coming through at the moment, especially here in Australia, because they're getting bigger all the time and better, being natural. There will always be the outlier, one freak that comes through, absolutely, but they're very far and few between.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so... All right, we'll do this one. Someone's really got it in for bikini girls at the moment. I'm going to say this in my inboxes. Agree or disagree, no fence sitting, bikini girls calling themselves athletes. I think this is a little bit of a harsh statement because there are definitely bikini girls that work really hard to achieve the physique that they're putting up on stage. There are obviously others that do not, and the thing about bikini level is that it's more accessible. So there will be a lot of people that do it when they're not necessarily ready, or maybe they're only 1 year into their lifting journey type of thing. So I think it's unfair to say that all bikini girls call themselves athletes and are not, because look at the pro level bikini girls. They
in IFBB.
Yeah, in IFBB.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at
really
Lauren Simpson back in the day. She's one of the hard, how strong she was and how hard she worked for her physique.
Yeah.
On point all the time, doing powerlifting as well, powerlifting competitions.
Yeah.
There's many. It's right. I see where this question's coming from. I absolutely agree. In some circumstances, there are a lot of girls that can walk off the beach and then diet for 8 weeks and definitely win in
or not diet at all.
Or not diet at all and
stage.
genetically just jump on stage and definitely win. So can you call yourself an athlete, or can you just say you're genetically gifted there? Where there's other people that will work all year in the gym, be dieting all year round, not in terms of deficit, but being on point with their nutrition in the off seasons, not going out partying all the time, and living that real social life that you see a lot of people do, and then
lock it in for 12
lock
weeks.
in for 8 weeks or 12 weeks when the competition comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely, in our perspective, is not an athlete.
Yeah.
So don't want me to sit on the fence.
Yes, Jordan.
What do you think defines an athlete?
Yeah, this is hard. I was just
Someone
thinking
who's
of that.
committed to the process and lives and breathes it. So it's not something you switch on and do for 12 weeks. It's something you do all year round. That you're committed to that craft, that sport. So whether I'm in my off season, whether I'm getting ready for show, my adherence to my plan, my efforts are all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not going out anymore. I did make this mistake. Again, talking from experience. Same with Emily.
Yeah.
When we were back in our WBFF days, we'd still train hard in the off season, but we were very flexible with our lifestyle.
And it's because we thought that was
with our friends
that's what we thought we could do and still call ourselves athletes. But I will put my hand up and say that I was not an athlete in those days. Probably until the last 2 or 3 years, I've really swapped into more of an athlete mindset. But I do believe, I agree with you. I think it's someone that commits himself to a craft and is in relentless pursuit of that every day, not just half the year kind of thing. And all right. Menopause, how to get energy back and best nutrition. I think menopause is a sticky subject for a lot of people. Because a lot of people think that when you go through menopause, and I guess it's the same with a cycle, right? Sometimes when people are when I get my cycle, I eat shit and I don't train, I'm lazy. Again, I haven't been through menopause, so I can't speak on it personally, but I'm
not going to touch on this.
A lot of women that go through it, and I can see two very different types of people. One that it controls them and it changes everything. They identify as someone that's going through menopause, and they're my nutrition's out the window, they're drinking alcohol, they're staying up late, they're not doing the things, they're just complaining about it. And then the other one, and I can highlight one of my athletes lately, she's 53 years old and competing in 3 weeks' time, and she is absolutely jacked, natural.
Give her a shout.
Her name's Megan. Natural, jacked, lean, but she is she's on point with their nutrition, on point with their sleep, on point with their training. And it is that type of person that thrives through menopause. Although it is hard and they still get the symptoms and it's all happening, they're not letting it defeat them. The other person, it defeats them. So I think it's just about having the structure, having the support of someone that understands what you're going through. Not maybe personally, but knows what to do and how to coach someone through it, because we've done that for a lot of our women. And understands that it's not about doing more a lot of the times. It's about doing less. So less training, higher intensity possibly, but looking at rest, sleep, fatigue management, good nutrition, not about pulling calories all the way low either. Like, we just have to support someone through this in the best way possible. So I would say how to get energy back is just about looking at, like, am I feeding myself good quality food? Do I have enough protein in my diet? Do I have enough calories? Is my hydration where it needs to be? Am I sleeping well? Am I drinking too much alcohol? What does my food quality look like? And attack those real basics before worrying, and then we can look at, is HRT something appropriate for you? So like we talked about before, HRT is a way of being able to optimize hormones. That can be with test progesterone.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of gels being used, but we would probably recommend more of the injectable kind of thing to make sure that it's actually the right dose for you. And yeah, there's definitely routes for women. I think HRT is not talked about a lot in the pre-menopause, menopause, post-menopause scenario yet. It's a lot of there's teams against it and there's teams with it. And
I think the only people against it don't understand it, haven't seen the data to support it. So
yeah,
the research.
There's definitely routes to make you feel a lot better. It's just about finding the people to support you through it. And we're always happy to have a conversation with someone that wants to chat about feeling better. The last question was our own experience with shit prep. And I put this here because I know that there will be a lot of people coming in and out of prep at the moment and maybe feeling bad about how they have done.
How they've executed the prep.
How they've executed prep. And I wanted to relate to those people and maybe get a little bit of advice on how to feel better post-com. Because we've all done shit preps. Like, I think yours was 2018. Was it 18?
Yeah,
19?
World Championships. First pro show.
And mine was also probably that one as well. I decided I wanted to do that 8 weeks. 8 weeks out.
I was 8 weeks out.
I think
you started your prep at 8 weeks out.
I did. Yeah. So like that's when I really had a poor relationship with food. I was either on or off. So that's what I was talking about. Like, I was not an athlete for a really long time. I was just like a hobby builder. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't know how to take it seriously. I didn't know what the benchmark was for athlete. No one really taught us that until
you got to be around other people who are
doing it,
athletes, because then you're like, that is like an athlete.
Yeah.
That's how I should be conducting myself and how I should be, putting yourself forward in terms of doing the process.
I think a lot of people would look at us now and think you guys like are the athletes and you do everything right all the time, and that's so far from the truth. Like,
I still make mistakes.
We still make mistakes. We are 120% better than we ever have been, but we're not perfect by any means.
No, I think perfection, I always say this, doesn't exist. So what we want to do is be consistent with our efforts. Consistency is what's going to get you the best results. Understanding you're human and you will make errors, but as soon as you can address that and get back on track with being consistent with your efforts, the better the end result's going to be always. Yeah,
and like the best thing that you can do post coming out of this comp, or even if it's just like a deficit or whatever you're doing.
Straight away, it's like reflect on the prep, not while you're in it, because you're not going to be in an emotional state
to deal
with it and be able to. But once you a month post comp, be like reflect on and go, where did I make mistakes? Was it with my adherence with my nutrition? Okay, what was my coach doing at the time? Was my coach giving me the support necessary? Was the structure right for me to be successful? Was my off season set up for me to be successful in prep? So as soon as you've got to be real and honest with yourself and go, I'm the one to blame here. I didn't follow the coach's plan. I overate here, which happens all the time. You're not alone. Every athlete goes through this.
Yeah.
But you only make that mistake once. There's one prep I did it, one that Emily did it, and you get up on stage and you miss the mark and you look like a fucking idiot. You'll never forget it. You get embarrassed and you're looking at it, and because deep down, like, I'm better than this. I should have placed higher. I should have been up top, but I'm my own undoing. Yeah. I cause this. Don't blame the coach if it's not the coach's fault.
Yeah.
There can be coaches that definitely make mistakes, and they usually put their hands up if they're a decent coach, because it's a learning curve for both the athlete and the coach. You don't always get it right.
Yeah.
You know, there are variables that come into play that change things and make it very difficult. And it's about learning and seeing that and being like, oh, I know this for next time with this individual. If I have another client that goes through a similar process, I know how to work around that. I know how to deal with that. Yeah. So it's always a learning curve. And, you know, if as an athlete, if you see it, you see the mistakes you made, you've got to be, what are you going to do about the next prep? Like, don't rush into another prep. Be like, I need to work on my adherence to my nutrition. I need to understand during a prep, it's going to get extremely difficult trying to maintain my job, my relationship, if you've got a partner, and to get in shape, true shape, to get on stage. It's fucking hard. So you need to make sure when you go to start the next prep that you have all these ducks in a line, they say. That everything's lined up for you to be successful during the prep. There'll be still things that pop up and go wrong, but you know, if you've got a shitty relationship, your job's shit or unstable, don't start a prep.
Yeah.
Like, you're not setting yourself up for success there.
Because it's only going to get harder.
Yeah.
Everything will get harder. Like, if you think that prep's something that's going to like focus you on something and like distract you from your life problems, it's most likely not going to make anything better. It's only going to make it worse, to be completely honest with you. And that's, I guess, what a lot of people do. And I have a lot of women that come to me and they're like, oh, well, you know, I just broke up with my partner and, you know, I want to do a prep. And I'm like, this is not the time for you. Give yourself 6 months and then come back to me if you really think that that's what you want to do. Because the prep shouldn't be used as a distraction or something to, you know, focus our attention away from something that we don't like in our life.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we've used this before. I've used prep in that way, especially at the start of my career. So, you know, we've all made these mistakes. Okay, let's go on to very quickly business, and then we'll end on babies, and then we're done.
Business. We just launched literally last night our Muscle Nation Challenge. So registration links are up and at it. I think we did a pre-registration list and it's the best we've seen so far. It was like 1,300 people pre-registered their names. We have a big discount. We know we've sat down Muscle Nation and they understand the economy is tough at the moment for a lot of individuals. So they were like, we need to make this more affordable for everyone so we can help everyone with their health and fitness goals. So we've done that. We have there's 40% off the starter package.
And I guess one thing that I'd like to highlight is that the difference with our challenges is that we're not in the business to get people in, you know, put them on low calories and then just shoof them out and be like, good luck. We actively educate our clients on how to maintain the results that they get during a challenge. And we educate them every week of the challenge. For the 8 weeks, we have different topics for each week. So the first week will be like Nutrition 101, why we look at tracking, how fat loss works, macros, calories. Then week 2 will be more of a training, and then it goes on from there. And then at the end, it's more around reverse dieting and maintaining results. So that's why our challenges get the best results, but then also these clients are able to maintain these results. And a lot of the clients end up coming on with us for long-term coaching after. And we couldn't be more happier of how we run a challenge, and I do believe that we run the best challenges in the industry just based on what we provide our clients.
The value, the support, the structure. When you do your when your initial calories and macros are being worked out for the client, it's one of our coaches. If it's not Emily and I, it's definitely Steph or Coach Kira or Coach Jarma sitting down, assessing all the information, then prescribing them. So, like Emily said, we could easily set up an algorithm that just goes, bim, 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 800 calories, boop, there you go. On your way. Calories. Don't take into consideration this mama 3 working shift work, or you know, or a tradie that's doing fucking 20,000 steps a day. Exactly. So all this, we take the time to sit down and work that out. And if there are questions or red flags within the consult form, we then have our coaches. We reach out to the individual to get more information.
Yeah. So and we've been running challenges since what 2000 and
shit. How long's it been?
2006, 17.
20?
No,
we ran them before 20.
Yeah, we did. I ran them before 20.
We've been running them a long time.
So it's been a while. We've developed our skills along the way. Everything gets better and better.
Yep.
So that's it. And then on the KB front, I have singularly been putting in effort. We've been putting effort in my vision is to be the best of what we do in the industry and to be the go-to coaching company. So it's just small steps to build brand, build reputation, make sure we're doing right by our clients, getting the feedback, making the changes to the program. So it's an ever-evolving, ongoing thing.
Yep.
And from a baby standpoint,
our daughter's fun.
yeah, no,
I love her. She's full of attitude.
We bought a outdoor slide and like a
teenager.
climbing frame, so that was cool.
We've got a jungle gym out the back.
Yeah.
So that's up there for her, and she's just out there. If she's not tackling Ted, poor Teddy. She's
Actually,
out
this
there
is a
going,
probably good
tearing
one.
down the slide.
For any parents that listen, we got her into a bad habit of letting her watch a lot of screens for a...
Not screens. Come on.
TV.
A TV.
Okay, she doesn't have a screen.
Screen.
She has one screen, a TV. And that was during prep.
Hang on. It's just for everyone, so where mum's listening.
Are you
out
trying to
there,
be like...
parents. So what's a lot of TV?
Okay, not a lot of TV. Look, it was like
Emily kills me with this.
pre-kindy, post-kindy, like
Was
for
it
an hour or
in the
two.
morning max, maybe an hour in the evening max.
But you know what? It didn't sit
Is that a
well. It
lot?
didn't sit well with me for her to wake up, watch Paw Patrol in the morning, go to school, come home, watch Paw Patrol in the afternoon. Like I know a lot of kids
we
do
went
that,
to the park,
and
went
that's
to the
completely
beach.
fine. But I want her also to wake up in the morning, communicate with us, not just be
Yeah,
like,
I get
you know,
it.
watching TV and me being like, "What are you doing today? How are you feeling?" She's like looking away from me.
Yeah.
So.
Just like glued to the screen.
And then obviously you hear about all of the things like on Reels, TikTok, bloody Instagram about all these kids 16, they have like degeneration, third level degeneration of their like neck muscles and shit from watching TV screens and shit.
Yeah,
So-
I get where it's coming from. A lot of the time, these kids are playing
games and
game.
stuff.
They're gaming. They're looking down there, whether it's a phone, because a lot of them have phones at
Or
that
iPad
age,
or
or an iPad. So, you know, now kids are never going to do that. I say
Yeah, I
kids.
know.
So we won't
Kids.
allow it. So, but a bit of TV never hurt anyone, but I do get it in the morning. It's the first thing she asks for. I'm like, hang on a second, we can talk to
Today
Mum,
was
Dad,
the
we can
first
have
time
cuddles,
she
we
didn't
can-
ask for it. So
Yeah.
parents, if you want to reduce screen time, stick with it. The first day's shit. The second day's also shit. The third day's most likely still shit. Fourth day is when they stop asking for it. So like,
Yeah.
I think I read something the other day. It's our responsibility of parents to hold boundaries. And it's the responsibility of the child. Jeez, thanks.
Yeah, sorry,
it's the
guys.
responsibility of the child to push them. So like, it is going to be hard when you're trying to enforce a new rule or something that is ultimately better for them long term. But you know, it is our responsibility to do those hard things for our children so that they don't grow up being wankers. But yeah, that's it. That's it from us, guys. Let us know how you enjoyed this one. Share it, please, because that's the only way that we're actually able to get this out to people. And
Share it on your stories.
then
Tag us,
give
let
us
us
some
know.
ideas of what to talk to next time. It'll be on our stories anyway. We'll put up a little box.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.